Hello and welcome to the next video on my MSI 2024 preview series where we're going to cover Loud, the team that is coming from Brazil and going to MSI once more. They were the representatives for Brazil in the last two international tournaments. Last year at MSI, they would finish 9th, 10th. The last 3 years, 10th, 11th. In the last 3 years, Brazil's finished 7th, 9th, 7th, 9th, and 10th, 11th at the tournament. Keep in mind, despite them dropping to 10th, 11th, there are more major region teams at the event last year compared to the years prior, with 2 seeds from each major region versus 4. So there is a bit of a difference. Loud's roster, relatively the same as last year. 4 of the 5 players returning. Support is different. The average age of this roster is 25.6 years old. It is, I believe, the oldest roster at this tournament. So, in top lane, we have Robo. Robo is coin flip at best internationally. Domestically, had a 2.5 KDA, 8.4 CS per minute, 56.4 KP, a 1.33 return on investment. That stat is a new stat I'm including this year. It is damage divided by gold to try and figure out who is the most efficient player as far as carry orientedness is concerned. And Robo is a carry oriented top laner. He plays to win lane, plays very aggressively. 22.2 gold share, 23.2 damage share, so a higher gold share than a lot of top laners at this tournament. Laning wise, first 15 minutes not really blowing out his opponents though. In Brazil, ahead under 100 gold, up 2 CS, but down 70 XP, so it might as well be even. 11 solo kills and 12 champions played in 30 games. You're going to find out that because they didn't play a lot of games in Brazil, the champion pools aren't vast. That is something to monitor going into this event. Robo's 3 most played champions are Jax, Renekton, and Olaf. Olaf is one of his signature picks. 15 and 24 in his career internationally. I believe, he has the most games internationally on this squad. In those 39 games, he has struggled. A 1.2 KDA and a 7.7 CS per minute, 61.7 KP. That indicates to me that when at least Robo's went to international events, his team has fought and he's been involved more than your average top laner. Not many are above 60% like that, so 3 out of every 5 kills, Robo either has gotten the kill or an assist. 1.24 return on investment, and laning wise, not as far as behind as you would think. And honestly, compared to Croc and Tinoms, this is not that bad. So he's behind just under 100 gold, up behind 4 CS, 120 XP. So really, he's not getting blown out in lane internationally. And at MSI, he does play more games against major regions compared to Worlds, where Worlds is a little more forgiving. 21 solo kills in 39 games as well. That is kind of indicative of that coin flip behavior. Robo is very aggressive, and that's his only chance internationally. But by now, everybody and their mother should know that Robo is aggressive internationally, and to not allow him to get away with that aggressiveness. And to be quite honest, he really doesn't get away with it all that often internationally anymore. Now, in the jungle, you have Croc. Croc had a 3.3 KDA, 5.5 CS per minute, 72.5 KP. He is facilitator beyond belief. These stats domestically are more facilitator than you're going to find at this tournament. So 0.86 return on investment, that screams not dealing a lot of damage. But then just under 18 gold share and only 12 damage share. So he's not getting a lot of damage. He is playing to help the team, and that's clear in his 3 most played champions. Domestically, not ahead in CS at all. And up only 50 gold, 30 XP. Had 1 solo kill in 10 champions in 30 games. Sejuani, Lee Sin, and Poppy, his 3 most played. Sejuani and Poppy scream facilitator, right? We do not think of those 2 champions as carries. So Croc's stats kind of track with the champions he plays. And unfortunately for Loud, you don't want one of your better players or one of your import slots to be used on a facilitator. Personally, I think you can find a facilitator domestically much easier than you would using an import slot. I mean, it's kind of a waste. But he's 26 years old as well, so really, this is probably where Croc's going to end his career. Internationally, 8-14. 1.3 KDA, only a 5 CS per minute, and 64.8 KP. So he's not getting a lot of farm internationally, and he's not making a lot of things happen, in part due to Robo solo kills. Mind you, all those solo kills is going to, they're going to hurt the KP of everybody else, because, I mean, hell, if he's getting a solo kill, nobody's participating but him, right? So that's a thing. 0.95 return on investment, so you do have to acknowledge that he does get more done internationally than he does domestically when it comes to damage. Now, against international junglers, he's behind 400 gold, 7 CS, and 210 XP on average. So every game he goes even. There's a game where he is getting gapped at 15 minutes by the enemy jungler. 1 solo kill in 22 games. In mid lane, you have Tinones. Some may consider Tinones to be the Brazilian GOAT. Oldest player on the team. He will turn 27 early next month at the event. This past split in Brazil, he was dominant. 9.1 KDA and 8.7 CS per minute and 74.4 KP. So we have to think about those 3 stats for a moment. Doesn't die a lot. Getting more farm than he has in the past, which is nice to see. And then he is very involved. So the team fights with Tinones and Croc making things happen. You really look at the KPs here, and in the case of Robo and Root, they're kind of on their own, and the other 3 have quite high KP. So they're going mid lane, trying to help Tinones, and they're invading the enemy jungle. 1.75 return on investment is very high for a mid laner. That's, I mean, shoot. Humanoid had 1.8, and that was one of the highest. That's alongside like Elk from BLG in terms of how high it is. So there is one thing that you can say for certain. Tinones, I mean, hell, he's getting more resources than he has in the past, and he's dealing more damage than he has in the past as well. So he's coming into this tournament maybe better than he ever has, at least statistically for me. 22.6 gold share and a 30 damage share. He is the carry of this team. At 15 minutes, up 150 gold, 3 CS, 250 XP. So slightly ahead laning. 6 solo kills, 10 champions played in 30 games. Azir, Talia, and Wei, his 3 most played. Internationally, he's 11-23. Has a 2.1 KDA, 8.1 CS per minute, and sub 63 KP. So internationally, not quite. I mean, last year it wasn't as bad as it was before that in his career, but nevertheless, still not quite at that international level. 1.31 return on investment is nice, but laning-wise, he is behind by over 200 gold, 8 CS, and 225 XP, so every game he's going even. There's another game where he's 16 CS behind at 15 minutes, and that's a bit of a diffy. That's 400 gold. That starts snowballing. 5 solo kills in 34 games. 80 carry is Root. Root is a Korean import. 6.2. So, okay, I'm not even going to try and pretend like there aren't going to be a lot of people that might be watching this video that didn't watch the other ones. That tends to happen. Excuse me, with CBLOL. Very dedicated fan base. So, when I have the bot laner stats, because of the Senna games, I have taken some key stats for the 80 carry and support and separated them individually, and then have combined quite a few stats that I think are impacted by the fact that Senna is in lane. It hurts 80 carry stats, boosts support stats, so we're combining in those stats. So Root had a 6.2 KDA and about a 70 KP. So he's involved. The team fights around each other for the most part. Like I said, they do go to Tinones more than they would involving Root or Robo, but they also do find time to fight together. At least the 4-man. 1.61 return on investment, pretty good. 1 solo kill, only 8 champions played in 30 games. Callista, Varus, and Lucian, his 3 most played. Last year included all of his international experience, went 4-8. The team went 2-4 at both events. 2.9 KDA, 9.7 CS per minute, 69.4 KP. He was their best player at Worlds. He did have a penta. 1.45 return on investment. Internationally, up 70 gold, 2 CS, 250 XP. 205 XP. Has 4 solo kills in 12 games. So you do have to give him credit. He does stay ahead in laning phase. So he does stand his ground against international bot laners. And then the penta is nice. I've said this before about other players at this event. Hell, I've said it about Noah. Korean imports that go to regions that aren't Korea or China, in my opinion, tend to kind of fall into this trend of, especially AD carries specifically, fall into kind of this trend of, okay, well, we're just going to farm, and then late game team fights, we just hands diff the domestic players, the other players, other imports at the region, and they win based on that alone because they hands diff. So when you do that internationally, you do struggle, but the fact of the matter is he had a penta, so he won that team fight at least. Redbert. So Redbert is the newcomer to the roster. He has been to 3 international events, but first let's go over some domestic stats. 3.4 KDA, a team leading 77.6 KP, so over 3 out of every 4 kills, nearly 4 out of every 5 for Loud, Redbert is involved. 0.65 return on investment. You may think to yourself, but it's a support. What does damage matter? And truly, depending on the type of support and their strengths and weaknesses, maybe that is best served for them to play a facilitator role, an enchanter role, versus a carry-oriented support that does find a way to deal quite a bit of damage. But 0.65, I believe, was the lowest at this tournament, which is something to think about. 1 solo kill, 8 champions played in 30 games. Nautilus, Nami, and Rel are his 3 most played. So when we combine some other stats here, so CS, 9.8, that's not great. You want your bot lane to have at least 10 CS or more. There are 80 carries at this event that have 10 CS per minute. And then you add the support, and hell, you're going to be ahead of this bot lane. 37.5 gold share and only 34.7 damage share. So the damage is not coming from this bot lane, and it's not a surprise, right? We've went over these numbers. Tinones is the carry. The bot lane is not the area where this team is getting damage from, and in part due to Redbert not dealing any damage, really. So that's a thing. And at 15 minutes, a bit of a concern here. So they're only ahead about 30 gold, which is essentially nothing domestically. Down 3 CS and 153 XP, which is essentially nothing. But the problem is you do not want to go even domestically when you're about to go play international bot lanes. Like their first series is going to be against Top Esports, Jackie Love Mako. I can only, it is what it is, right? That's what happens. It's the nature of, you went to an international event. This is what you got to face. You got to face the best of the best. So this is not Cheaton and Curry in bot lane, and you going to 5 games against them. This is going to be Jackie Love Mako. So that's a thing. Then vision stats, strong. They do find efficient vision, and in part that's probably due to their experience. About a 5 vision score per minute, placing about 12 wards every 5 minutes. What do we have here next? They place about 3 to 4 control wards every 5 minutes, and then clear about 4 wards every 5 minutes. So they're clearing more than they're placing in terms of wards when it comes to control wards versus clearing wards. So the gold efficiency is present, and they're finding a way to use that vision efficiently. Redbert internationally is 5 and 15 in his career. 1.3 KDA, 68.9 KP. Vision score 2.61 per minute. Placed about 7 wards every 5 minutes internationally. Control ward every other minute. Clears 1 ward every 4 minutes. So at least in his case, his bot duo is not doing that strong. And MSI 2019 is his only appearance at this tournament in his career, and they finished dead last. It's when they struggled, and they finished 13th of 13. So that is a thing. Coach is Stardust. He's 10-4 internationally, listed as the head coach of T1 at 2021 Worlds. Yes, that is the T1. That same well, was Carrier on that roster? Might not have been. Then after that, I mean, they've went to World Finals the next 2 years, right? So Stardust leaves, they go to World Finals. The next 2 years, they've had like, what, 4 different coaches in that span. So, I mean, disaster, right? T1 when it comes to that. But they won, so that's neither here nor there. So Loud, it's tough. It's tough. You know, so I don't get a lot of Brazilians watching the other content. So it's something that I want to acknowledge. Brazil is underserved. Not undeserved, but underserved. They deserve better. They deserve more. They deserve more investment. And the fans, and this is not fan service, the fact of the matter is, viewership is the way it is. The viewing experience in terms of Twitch and things like that, in the broadcast, is, in my opinion, just as good, if not better, than major regions. It's an excellent product, and it is unfortunate that the region does not get more support. But I do want to acknowledge as well, and I see it in my content, so I just want to kind of say this. You know, Brazil's fans really support the Brazilian teams, but once the Brazilian teams are out, that kind of drops off, right? And I'm not requiring people to continue watching content after Brazil is out, but I think you do have to also kind of think about the fact that, hey, if you're not going to watch League of Legends for League of Legends after that, then Riot's going to be like, okay, you support your teams, which is nice, and that's great, but you also you're not supporting the game afterwards. And that's kind of a thing. You need to support the entire product when it comes to League, and watch to the end of tournaments, not just when your team is in it. I know they talk about that one CSGO tournament, or Valorant tournament a couple of years ago, where all the Brazilian fans left after their team lost in finals, leaving it in an empty stadium, and as the winner celebrated. It was one of those things that I was like, well, that's kind of petty, but that's enough rambling. So thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, like it, subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content. Follow me on Twitter, join the Discord, become a YouTube supporter, and hope to see you again tomorrow.